All right. So I wanted to talk today about you specifically, how you got into the work, some of the pitfalls that you've seen some people fall into, and how to avoid them. So real quick, you talked about this a little bit last time you were on the show, but tell us how you got into title and escrow.
Yeah, I got invited to apply to a receptionist job. Is essentially how I got in. And I'm learning that this is a career we talked about a little bit last time where you get invited into it and you sink or swim because there's no training manual. You learn on feel in the local industry, and that's how you get in. You get invited into this. It's kind of or you apply entry level. And that's really how it is because it's just tough to get in. There's not a lot of us doing the work. And so when there's an opening, it doesn't come by often.
Really?
Yeah.
So are these companies just they're not super eager to bring in new people to the fold?
No, because it is seasonal. It's feast or famine every year. We feast during the summer because that's when houses sell. It's beautiful here, so come visit and take a look and buy your house. And the winter times are gloomy and rainy and wet, so it doesn't sell as much. And so you have to keep your employees paid through both seasons.
Right.
And so the company typically doesn't want to fluctuate too much with staffing. And so it is process driven on hey, this is our process, and we have to either apply more time to the process by overtime in the busy months. And so you can't spend all your pennies because you know that in the winter months, well, it's hey, maybe we can't work 40 hours this week. So we took furloughs. It's not uncommon to take a furlough because the company's not making the same revenue.
Right.
Yeah. So absolutely. So we don't want, we typically don't want to hire and then because there's a learning curve to the industry.
For sure. So in a previous episode, you described the workforce as it's getting smaller and it seems to be getting older as well. So how do you feel like the industry is kind of compensating for that? Are they making any general moves?
I don't know. I don't know how the industry is going to be bringing people in because this conversation I was privy to 8 years ago when I came on because I'm thinking, hey, I'm the youngest guy and I got in here by accident. How did everyone else get in? How do we bring people in? Where's the entry level job? And there isn't one when there's just 2-3 companies around.
So that was going to be another question I was going to bring up about those entry level positions, how someone would even get into this field in the first place.
You get invited is the historical, what I remember, or you respond to an ad. And because right now we're hiring, we're looking for an entry level position.
There you go.
Should you ask? And there's no particular skill set that we're absolutely hey, you need this. You're going to check all these boxes. It takes a personality that succeeds.
It takes a personality. What kind?
A curious mind, because you have to work with the goal of closing the deal. And so you have to accomplish the tasks. And there's not enough for someone to always hold your hand. And so it takes a quick learner, someone who's inquisitive.
Someone that's probably a little bit independent too.
100%. Yeah, there's the system and the process doesn't allow for too many errors and not a lot of training, unfortunately. That's just what it is. Now, First American is really interesting because they have made a streamlined process. So if you know anything about Kaizen or you've talked about Kaizen, lean manufacturing, I studied a little bit when I was in my manufacturing job, and I realized that the process dictates the outcome. So if you make phone calls as your entry level or as your customer entry experience, you're going to do a phone call every single time and have that connection. If you're not told to do that, some days you might, some days you won't. Some days, some weeks pass by and you're like, did I call anyone this morning? Does your process dictate the outcome? And so there's room for people to come in and excel really quick in title and escrow.
So what does it take for someone to become that excelling agent?
You have to be able to do the work and show up and push really hard and pivot with every specific interaction. And so be able to juggle a whole lot. There's a systems that help you, but really there needs to be a bulldog type attitude, especially if you're going to excel. If you're coming into this industry, especially with the succession that's going to happen, the plan is we hope we have enough people who are hungry enough to do the work, because it takes a lot of hours. It takes a lot.
So what kind of work does that actually entail? Sure.
It's taking a contract from the beginning and saying, okay, these are the buyers and sellers. Let's get all their information, and then you figure out what is being transferred, for how much, what is owed against it, who's lending, are they lending? The lender needs to communicate, and so there's a lot of moving parts that escrow has to maintain on every file, and so everyone at all times needs to know where every file is at, because changes do happen.
A lot of data collection and data keeping.
It's a lot of data keeping. It's a lot of, it's coordinating. So escrow does a lot of coordinating with a lot of different parties, because maybe there's a HOA, there's taxes, there's a lien, there's a judgment, there's a divorce, there's a deed of trust from a long time ago. And there's so many issues that you need to treat every transaction in a standardized way, but very unique to each situation. So it's a lot. It's a demanding job that requires someone who pays attention, who is eager to work and eager to push themselves.
Right.
Because once you do, they scout for talent very sharply to be the next escrow closer. Because if you have that personality to connect with people on the niche market, like experience, the experience that they're in, like escrow is like a small portion, but massively impactful if it's done wrong. And so that human typically gets put on a track to be like, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to be a title officer or an escrow person, because we are looking for these talents. And that's how people get replaced, if they get replaced.
So before we get too far into title and escrow, let's just talk about the field in general.
Oh,
again, like even getting into it. What are the big reasons to get into this field?
Man. Title and escrow?
Yeah. Is it just that it pays consistently and it pays well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it pays well. It's a great question, because I have seen people come into it for all sorts of reasons. There's one that was an agent for many years and said, well, I'm done being a real estate agent, so I'm going to be an escrow, because I've seen enough contracts. And turns out that experience helps her a lot.
All right.
Because she has seen the work, she's played that role, she understands the capacity, so she's able to serve her clients knowing that, hey, I know what you're going through because I've been there with many other buyers and sellers. So her value set is a little different in an experience than someone else who's like, hey, I came in because my mom's friend's a realtor and said, hey, whatever company's hiring, I'm going to go and check it out. And then you discover that, wait, I could just work hard and it pays me more, or I can, like, the more my team does, the more I make. And so that there's an incentive there that to the right person, it triggers them to say, hey, we could make a living out of this and a career. And it's again, the acquisitive mind, you're always learning something new. So you're expecting that. And if someone's expecting that, like, it gives a different approach to the job.
It's really rewarding to the person who's like a little bit ambitious.
A little, yes.